So you guys know I'm a huge fan of riding in flat pedals, and in this video I'm going to review the Catalyst pedals from Pedaling Innovations. Are they worth the money? Are they more comfortable? Find out what I like and dislike about them in this video. Welcome back, Pathless Pedalers, and if you're new to the channel, if you're into the non-competitive side of cycling, riding party pace, and living the supple life, you have found your people, hit that subscribe button. So for full disclosure, the pedals were sent free of charge to the channel for review, but the opinions are my own. So if you're not familiar with the brand Pedaling Innovations, they're essentially a 1 or 2 person operation. And James, the owner, has done a deep dive into the science of pedaling and found that there weren't any real studies that actually supported that clipless pedals were necessarily better. So he took those studies and combined it with his physical training background, and voila, came up with the Catalyst pedal. So it's kind of hard to get a sense of scale of these pedals. So when you put another pedal next to it, you can really see that they are quite a fair bit longer, about the same width, and that's to avoid pedal strike, but definitely more of a platform to support your foot. Some basic stats about this pedal. On our scales, a single pedal weighs in at 264 grams. So definitely a bit of a weight penalty, especially when you compare it to this composite pedal that weighs in at 164 grams. They offer a couple of models of this pedal. This actually isn't the largest one. There is an XL, and this one in particular retails for $129. So the whole thinking behind this pedal is to kind of reevaluate flat pedals. So typically we would ride with our forefoot, pedaling on the forefoot, leaving a lot of the foot unsupported. To James's thinking, the power starts at your feet, at your foundation, and if it's unsupported there, it kind of trickles up the body. Enter the Catalyst pedal, which is a lot longer and offers more support. And one of the key things about this pedal is that you're supposed to pedal with your midfoot. So instead of just pushing off with your toe, because you are pedaling in the midfoot position that's well supported, it activates larger muscle groups and is more efficient and all that good stuff, at least in theory. So there are basically 2 ways to ride in this pedal. You could either just put it on your bike and make no adjustments and treat it like a big flat pedal, but still using your forefoot, or you can adjust your riding position so that you take advantage of the midfoot pedaling position. I decided to do the latter, and when you do set up your bike for a midfoot pedaling position, you do have to change the position of your saddle. For me, it was actually quite a drastic change. A couple centimeters lower and a couple centimeters more forward. So know that if you're going to commit to how this pedal was intended to be used, you're going to be fudging with your saddle position. And also, if you work with a fitter, this may confuse them just because it's kind of an unorthodox pedaling style. Okay, so how was it to pedal using it in the midfoot position? First thing I noticed is that it felt kind of uncomfortably strange because I wasn't putting a lot of pressure in my forefoot. Usually I'm pretty good about lining up my forefoot with the spindle of the pedal, and there's kind of a constant pressure here that's reassuring, if you will. So my first few rides in a midfoot position, I felt like my toes were floating in the air. One thing I did find myself using more of is actually the outer edge of my shoe. You really want to use that to kind of stabilize your foot on the pedal. So basically, your foot becomes pretty triangulated between a point here in the front, a point here in the back, and this outer edge of the shoe on the side of the pedal. So once I adjusted for that, it actually felt pretty good. Who knew that pedaling in flat pedals could be so complicated? I did find that it engaged a different set of muscle groups as opposed to if I was just doing a forefoot pedaling style. For me, it was really hard to tell if it was more efficient or if I was riding faster because there's no way to measure that. Probably the most noticeable advantage to me was the ability to move my foot fore and aft, working out different muscle groups while riding. I think where these pedals really shone was on technical downhills. There was just so much pedal for the foot to grip on, and you felt really stable and secure. Also, while standing and climbing or standing and pedaling, there's just tons of support, and you never felt like you were going to slip off the front or the back of the pedal. Another instance where a pedal like this was really advantageous was when wearing a minimal shoe. So something like the Bedrock sandals or even the Lem Chukkas or something that isn't super structured. This is probably the most supportive pedal you will find. So that was the riding experience. What were my likes and dislikes? The first big like is the build construction. Yes, it is a little bit on the heavy side. There is more material, but it does feel nicely built. There's no way you're going to break this pedal. The traction pins are nice and grippy. Again, huge platform to support your feet. In terms of the cons of this pedal, weight is definitely a factor. It's almost twice as heavy as those composite pedals and probably a fair bit heavier than even just regular alloy pedals. And they're also not inexpensive. These pedals are 130 bucks. It's a small business. They don't have the economies of scale as a larger brand, so I can understand where the cost, but they are a little bit on the spendy side. So probably the biggest con for me is when using this on a road bike or a gravel bike. On a mountain bike, there's not so much problem with toe overlap just because modern mountain bikes tend to have such a slack front end that puts a wheel way out in front of you. So I absolutely love these for mountain biking. But if you put these on a road bike or a gravel bike, and specifically if you're riding a smaller frame, there's a good chance that you're probably going to have some toe overlap. Not only is the pedal longer, but it's designed to move your foot a little bit further forward. So if you already have tight clearances in your bike's frame, then these pedals aren't for you. I think if you're a taller rider and you generally have more space between your pedal and the front wheel, you won't have that issue of toe overlap. But definitely if you're a shorter rider, that is something to be concerned about. So overall, I found the pedals supremely comfortable. Lots of great traction, loved it for standing, loved it for mountain biking, especially when descending. Just really supportive and secure. I don't know if it made me any more efficient or faster using these pedals. I just don't have the tools to measure that. So I can't say if those claims are true or not, but I will say you do have a lot of fore and aft flexibility. So if one set of muscle groups gets tired, you can work out another set just by repositioning your foot. But that's what I think. What do you guys think? Have any of you guys out there been using the Catalyst pedal? What are your long-term impressions? Do you ride it in the forefoot position, or have you gone all in on the midfoot pedaling position? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like this content, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Consider supporting the channel on Patreon. And as always, keep the supple side down.